Here on First Things First, time now for Say What? LeBron James had 41 points last night, another incredible performance, leaving players around the league, including the Sixers' Dario Saric, terrified. Say what?
No, I don't want to play against LeBron. You know, he's obviously, in the top three players in the world, in the history maybe, and I don't want to judge him. Everybody else, are welcome to come here.
You're not supposed to say that out loud,
What was the last
Dario.
part he said?
I think anyone else is welcome to come here, or he's welcome to come
I'm taking
here.
all comers.
Yeah.
LeBron don't want to fool with him.
Right.
Yes.
The reason that's relevant is they lost Embiid early in that game, and if they lose, they could fall to the 6th seed. They still could, but
In which case they would
they'd
play
be playing Cleveland in the first round.
LeBron James.
Typically, you don't see that type of respect given by players.
Not outwardly, not honestly, not publicly.
Don't show your hand.
Yeah, look at Dario. I respect the honesty, Dario Saric. Good for you, young man. He's going to look great as a LeBron teammate next year.
Time now for some stories to start your morning. The NFL is examining eliminating kickoffs to cut down on the abundance of injuries. They've already moved touchbacks to the 25-yard line in an attempt to decrease the urge to bring the ball out of the end zone. But the league says data shows that injuries are still prevalent on kickoffs. CC, would getting rid of kickoffs be good for the game?
Absolutely. I mean, you can let guys get a running start. I mean, they run 50 to 60 yards to hit another guy, a professional athlete. Oh, man, yes. I know this. The data says that you're more likely, 5 times more likely to get a concussion on a kickoff or a receiving team than you are any of the other plays in the game. So if they're going to stay true to form, which they did several years ago, making the game safe, this would be the next adjustment to that safety and overall precaution for the players.
Listen, I understand why guys like Devin Hester, Dante Hall, Josh Cribbs that made their living in the return game. This would eliminate, it'd still be the punt return game, but this would eliminate their value to a lot of teams.
Yes.
But for the overall health of the sport, I understand why they would do that. I want to make sure 2 things. One is that the onside kick would still be allowed.
Yes.
That you could say, hey, we're doing
Great
an onside
point.
kick. But now what that would mean is, think about one of the most iconic plays in Super Bowl history, the surprise onside kick. That would be gone forever. I can deal with the surprise onside kick being gone if it means guys are healthier and safer, but you do have to realize that would be a part of this. That would be some collateral damage, if you will, to changing this rule.
Here we go to the NBA. We talked about this earlier. 76ers fans holding their breath last night as Joel Embiid left the game against the Knicks. He had a facial contusion when he collided with Markelle Fultz. Went to the hospital. Preliminary x-rays revealed no fractures, which is the great news. Nick, how will his injury affect the Sixers' seeding in the East?
Listen, as odd as this sounds, because it's a guy's face, of all his body parts to get injured, the one that I think he and the Sixers would most want to be injured is his face. Like, not his foot where he's had problems, not a knee or an elbow. He's been so great this year, and this team, of all starting 5s in the NBA, the Sixers have the best net rating. When he's been on the court, they have been a dominant basketball team. They obviously need him on the court. They've been a bad basketball team with the lineups without him.
Jenna, do you know the average human head is 9 to 11 pounds?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is that what I learned on Jerry Maguire?
It's something like that. Go ahead, CC. How much does Embiid's weigh?
He got at least 14 to 16. I mean, as a kid, I'm guaranteeing they called him Jughead. So Philly fans, you're safe. You hit him in his hard spot, his head. All right? But it was nice to see. It did take our breath away a little bit. Watching the game, I was like, hey, this is it.
Worried.
Made it through the season.
Right.
And if it's a fracture, you got to wear a mask if you can even play. Guys don't like wearing
And then he can't talk. He's not as funny.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we need him talking.
No.
So all things considered, they maybe
news
dodged
that
a
it
bullet
was
here.
no
And they won the game with it.
Yep. To the team, 2 spots ahead of those Sixers, the Boston Celtics. They beat the Jazz last night on a last-second incredible play. Jaylen Brown nailing the 3 with tenths of a second left. Brown had 21 on the night. Celtics have now won 5 games in a row. CC, how do they do this? How do they continue to do this without Kyrie?
I got to be nice to people the rest of the show because our resident jughead, Brumley, told me I got to be nice to people with a big head. Brumley, who's producer today, he got a real big head, and he on the show. But they're doing it because of coaching.
Custom-made helmets.
The reason why we do a good show is because of coaching. Yes, their coach is one of the best in the business, and it showed right here. Late timeout, game time situation. Man, they ran a brilliant play drove the ball into the lane like they were going for a layup, swung it on the wing for the three. No, but debate them to have Jaylen Brown get an open look at the top of the key. The easiest three-point shot in the NBA is either top of the key or in the corners. They got that open look to end the game.
Man, this is the 5th game they've won this year on a last-second shot. They did this one. No Kyrie, no Al Horford. We know no Gordon Hayward, no Marcus Smart, no Marcus Morris. Like, aside from Jaylen Brown,
nobody.
Jalen Tatum, both of whom are first and second year players. Like, they had a replacement level squad out there, and they beat one of the hottest teams in the league.
In Utah.
That's why, to me, Brad Stevens is going to be your runaway coach of the year. I know Mike D'Antoni's got a good case.
Yeah, well,
as always, Greg Popovich has a good case.
Test you after that.
What? Because I'm saying Brad Stevens coach of the year?
Yeah, Houston, Toronto.
Yeah, those are all
best
great.
record in the East, best record in the NBA.
It can't just be who has the best record. It has to
But
who has
sometimes
the best coaching
it is.
job. Sometimes
you know,
it is.
MVP, Harden. Just collect all the trophies. They're going to win the championship.
Okay.
Get them all. Houston.
Brad Stevens going to win coach of the year, and CC and I have a $4,000.
And if he does win, then I'm going to petition at you to get a vote.
Okay, deal.
It is.
And they're going to give me that money.
It's been a nightmare season for Isaiah Thomas, guys. Traded from the city that loved him, injured to start the year, returned to absolute turmoil, much of which he created, shipped to Los Angeles, didn't want to come off the bench, then came off the bench. And now he's about to undergo a scope on that injured right hip that has been bothering him, and he is done for the year. However, the Lakers are reportedly interested in bringing him back on a one-year deal, but only as a backup plan if they can't sign LeBron and Paul George. All right, Nick, how much of Isaiah's season is basically a cautionary tale for other NBA players?
Man, I think it's an enormous cautionary tale that when the fans, when the team, when the coaches, when your teammates want you to gut through something,
Yeah.
maybe you shouldn't. Like Isaiah, I don't know what the health of his hip would be had he shut it down.
It wouldn't be worse.
Exactly right. Yeah, I can't guarantee it would be better if he had shut it down at the first sign of this hip injury when he suffered it last year, but I know it wouldn't be worse. And that might end up being a 9-figure decision for him. For a guy that's never made significant NBA money, is 29 years old, way undersized. Like, this could be career-altering, and if we want to be big picture, like, family and generational altering as far as the wealth he could have generated had he been healthy this season going into free agency.
Now, Jenna, there's 2 positives in this. In injuring the hip, this time, instead of the rehab, he is going to have the surgical procedure. All right, he was in New York, got a second opinion, so he's going to have... Last year, he didn't do that. He decided to go with the long process. That didn't work out. And also, listen to what Luke Walton has been saying about Isaiah Thomas, saying he was the inspirational leader to this young team. He was very, very good with the young locker room that they have there. The players liked him after coming off what he went through in Cleveland and how he started there in Los Angeles. So I'm looking at the positives on the back end of it, that if they don't land LeBron, if they don't land Paul George, that he would have another place to go and staying there in Los Angeles, potentially on a one-year deal.
All right, finally now, Kevin Durant is expected to return to the lineup for the Warriors tonight. I know that because it's Thursday, and that's when he said he's returning. But even when he's not playing, he's still making headlines. KD joined Bill Simmons' podcast and proved that while he might have retired the burner accounts, he's still very much on the defensive. Here's what he had to say to Simmons. He said, all your blog boys and your fan boys, it's going to use everything I say and create an article. Watch a basketball game. How about you write that? I just want to say that because all these guys are going to write articles and get real mad about what I said tonight. They're going to put their emotions into it. It's not about you. Watch a basketball game. Enjoy the game. Stop worrying so much about me. Or maybe just stop talking about it. CC, if you take all the sensitivities out of it, is this Durant's chance to really prove that he can win on his own without Steph having to be there?
I mean, Kevin, he don't have to prove anything to me. Like, I don't see what the objective is and how he's going to win this type of argument that he creates himself. He tells us, I guess I'm a fanboy, I guess I'm a blogger or whatever, to watch the game. I am watching the game. Well, it's not about you. You're right. It's not about me. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the players that I like watching. And all of them get criticized, from LeBron James down. We went over earlier in the show the top 7 players, 6 or 7 players. All of them. Without Russ gets criticized. The Brow gets criticized.
He's never want to play. I mean, you could say the player, I would say the criticism.
Steph.
Right.
Like, I mean, top to bottom, they all get ridiculed. Now, Kevin Durant, rumor has it that the difference in him now compared to Kevin Durant that was OKC, that this is the real Durant. The other guy was an imposter.
That's what he told Chris Broussard.
Yeah, so, all right, no problem. I'm willing to embrace that, but I do need to see some type of consistency. But have some little self-awareness to realize you're arguably the best player in the world, arguably the best offensive player. You're going to have a lot of eyeballs on you. You should be having the time of your life. It seems like you're still not happy, either with the new Kevin,
right,
which you should be. You're playing the game that you love. Like, I'm watching the games. You know, we try to give you the type of respect on the court because you're a phenomenal player. We love watching you play. We have no critique from a negative standpoint of Kevin Durant's
the basketball player.
But he just keeps trying to defend himself. No one's saying anything.
He's fighting against strawmen. He's fighting against arguments that don't exist, and that's the frustrating part for me. Now, I want to say something because I'm not a writer. I'm not a statistician, even though I use them on television. I want to defend the guys he's really going at, the writers. There has never been a time in NBA history that the people writing about the game are more educated about the game. It's never been easier to watch games.
Yes.
We've never had more information available to us. We've never been able to really break down, okay, what the team, think about it like this. The team in their way to win another championship, Houston, how are they built? By what he would call a blogger, stat boy, fanboy, Daryl Morey, who broke down the numbers. Now, I do understand.
Now, there's more people with uneducated opinions, too.
Absolutely.
Even though the people at the top have a better opinion, a more informed opinion.
And I would argue the guys that cover this game, Zach Lowe, Howard Beck, those writers, they're watching more basketball than anybody. And now, I do understand why some players, there is a segment of the journalistic or statistical community that think what players' opinions are useless, that think the retired athlete knows nothing. And I understand why that would bother Kevin Durant. I understand why guys would chafe at that, because there is obvious intrinsic value of having played the game, of understanding how locker rooms work, of understanding those things. So I get where he is initially coming from here. But where he loses the thread is where he doesn't have the self-awareness, in my eyes, to recognize there's not a superstar in the NBA over the last decade who's been criticized less than Kevin Durant. His entire tenure in Oklahoma City, keep this in mind, he was criticized once on a large scale. The paper called him Mr. Unreliable because they lost a playoff game they should have won.
But
they printed a retraction in the newspaper the next day. When they failed, Russ was blamed. He went to Golden State. People, you had to know people were going to criticize that decision. You were alive when they criticized LeBron's decision. But it was vindicated. His inability to tune out some of the noise. I don't check my Twitter mentions that much anymore. And I am not 1% as famous as Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is out here, I can tell you this for a fact, texting people hosting these types of shows in real time, critiquing what they're saying about him. Like, that part of the deal he's made with the industry he's chosen to be in is you're going to be subjected to some criticism, some fair, some unfair. He's been subjected to less unfair criticism than any other of the star guys in the league.
But he seemingly handled it a whole heck of a lot better than when he was in Oklahoma City than he is now. Or maybe he didn't hear it.
He wasn't criticized when he was in OKC.
But he's not really criticized now. No one talks about anything poor that he's doing basketball-wise. But he seems to defend himself, and that seems to be what we're criticizing.
Well, this is the thing. When you haven't been criticized, and even if you get a small amount, which he did get, there were people that did not like Kevin Durant just for the transaction. Forget that they were going to win. There were people that didn't.
I was one of those people.
Yeah, they didn't like Golden State, so let alone them getting Kevin Durant. So the hate that they had for Golden State, they immediately applied that to Kevin Durant. And then his personality seemed to be changing at the same time and did some things that made him unlikable or not like him as much as the Kevin Durant that we knew in OKC. I'm not one of those people. I like him. I believe that a guy should have the ability to go wherever you want. When LeBron made the decision, I didn't care where he went. Now, I benefited. I was living in South Florida. But I was going to follow LeBron anyway. Kevin Durant had the right to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been upset if he had gone to Boston. I wouldn't have been upset he went to San Antonio. I'm not upset that he went to Golden State. I like watching great basketball, and he's one of the great guys, great players of this era, and I enjoy watching.
Listen, I was one of the people critical of the decision, but I didn't question his manhood. I didn't say I recognize he has the right to do whatever he wants to do. As a basketball fan, I didn't love it. But you're universally acknowledged as, at worst, the third best in the world at what you do. Everyone thinks you have a chance to go down as one of the 10 best ever to do what you do, and you're the defending finals MVP. And yet you keep arguing against a narrative that is not out there. And that's the part that I don't understand with him. Just don't.
All right. Coming up, the Giants have named their price for Odell Beckham Jr. It's next on First Things First. It's expensive.
Very expensive.